Good morning, guys. It's Monday, the 5th of November, and I have just been triggered into a long position on the FTSE 100. So, as always with the live trade, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the analysis behind the trade, the reasons for getting into the trade, and then as the trade starts to develop, I'll kind of follow the trade with you guys. If I'm making any decisions, if I'm looking to come out of the trade, I will try and explain to you why I am doing what it is that I am doing. Now with this trade, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to try and sort of talk you through the internal speak that goes through a trader's head when you're trading. Now, I'm not talking about things like, I want to maybe look at adjusting my stop here. I'm not talking about, okay, this looks like potentially a pretty good profit target. What I'm talking about instead is the negative stuff that goes on inside all of our heads. Because what I find is that for a lot of people, they think that as they become a successful trader, that internal talk is going to go away. And instead, what actually happens is we kind of develop the ability to tune it out. We stop allowing it to control our decisions. So with this trade, I'm in the trade. Now, as soon as I entered into the trade, I get this sort of like little negative pang that overtakes me. And it says to me, are you sure you want to be in this trade? It doesn't really look like a very good setup. It looks like it's potentially going to stop you out. And then invariably, because when you click to enter the trade, what happens is you start on a negative because of the spread. So as soon as you click into the trade, there's that little negative connotation that just helps you along with your personal negative feelings. And it just kind of says to you, okay, now I need to kind of get back up a little bit before I'm going to get to the break-even level. And what we can see with this trade is since we've been doing the video, it's dropped all the way back down to the previous low of this candle. So as it's doing that, what I'm thinking in my head is it's Monday, it's 10 to 8 in the morning, and potentially I'm going to start this week with a loss. And if I start the week with a loss, what I'm going to need to do is then build it back up as we run through the week, which is not an ideal position to be in. It's then sort of coming out of the gates with a loss, and then you're sort of looking to claw it back as you go through the week, which is absolutely fine as a trader, but in your mind, it's kind of, it makes it seem a little bit more difficult. And then you start to sort of think, oh, well, should I have just maybe waited? Should I have just sort of looked for a different signal? Which is all nonsense if you think about it, because if you're taking a signal, it's your signal, yeah? It's telling you to get into the trade. If it's going to be a loss, it's going to be part of your trading system loss. And overall, that doesn't really matter. What matters is that you follow your trading system and you look to profit over the long term. Okay, so with this trade coming into today, well, the first thing is for me, my key support levels are a little bit lower down at 7,062 and 7,035.9. However, coming into today, what I went over with subscribers was that this was also worthwhile watching. The reason it's worthwhile watching is because we've had quite a few tests here as resistance and as support. I don't think they've been quite as strong in terms of structure. However, it's still worthwhile watching for potential bullish bounces. I'm also relatively neutral on the market at the start of the week. We're kind of sandwiched in between key resistance and key support. So there's the potential for a little bit of sideways price action, especially with the US midterms coming tomorrow. Those might give a little bit more direction. And with Brexit negotiations, those might give a little bit more direction. But at present, I am neutral. So when it came down here, when it started testing, what I'm looking at is we've tested once. We've tested twice. We've then chopped sideways and we've tested a third time. So low, higher low, higher low. 3 fairly good tests on this zone. So that's kind of telling me, okay, potentially we're going to be looking at a bullish bounce. If we get a bullish bounce, where is a likely place to see some sort of stronger reaction? And really it's up at these levels here. Basically the 7,089 daily support and resistance area. So if we spike up into this level, I'm hoping we're going to spike up and just see a little spike back through toward the low price from Friday. We've got the MA200 up there also, and we've also got a great big gap sitting here. So all things that potentially will act as a draw to the market coming into the start of the day. So what I'm hoping for is a nice, easy, bullish bounce up into those levels. If we get up into those levels and start to see rejection, potentially I'm going to come out quite fast of this trade. If we see a strong bounce up towards really looking for kind of like a scalping trade here, maybe around about 6.5, 7, up to 10 points. If I can see that, I'm going to come out of the trade for the profit. Anything else to go over with this trade? Not really at present. So what I'm looking at now is the market just moving sideways. And now what my head is telling me is it's holding in the negative. And it's telling me, oh, it's holding in the negative. You can still come out of this for a relatively small loss at £175. It's a lot easier to make that money back than if you suffer a full position loss. Do you want to stay in the trade? Are you sure about this trade? And it's kind of, it's the part of your head that's constantly scared. That's the best way I can explain it. The part of your head that is constantly scared is what tries to take over when you're trading. And if you allow that part of your head to take over when you're trading, it's going to cause you a lot of trouble. And the worst thing is, if I come out of this trade now, and it does then reverse down to my stop level, it justifies the voice. It feeds the voice. It gives it a little bit more power. And then the next time I'm in a trade, it's going to spark up again, but it's going to be that little bit louder. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult to ignore. So there's no decisions to make. I'm not looking to do anything at present. I've already decided that before I got into the trade. That's telling me that no matter what my mind tells me, there's nothing that can happen at present on this market that can tell me to come out of the trade. So I just have to learn to ignore the voice in my head. And that's one of the main things about trading. It's just literally deciding that the voice in your head isn't always right. And the best way to do that is to make your decisions before you get into the trade. And if you make your decisions before you get into the trade, then you have a plan to follow. And so if I've got a plan to follow, it's a lot easier to sort of disregard what I'm telling myself. Okay guys, so a couple of things. We're around about 5 to 8, nothing is happening. What I'm going to do is pause the video. If we do start to break one way or the other, I'll turn it back on. I've also had a missed call from my girlfriend as I was making this portion of the video. So I just want to call her and make sure she's okay because she's on her way to work. Okay, so the market is open. It is now pressing up a little bit. We're starting to reject at that 7,089 level. What I would like to see is another press up and a test and a sort of breakthrough, trying to get back up toward the low price from Friday and potentially the MA200. So at this point, this is when, especially at the ATM open, it can become a little bit more difficult, especially when I'm trying to make the video because I'm trying to talk to you, watch the market and manage the trade. But this is when your head starts to tell you, we're at 2 points. It's telling you, just come out of the trade. Just come out of the trade, just come out of the trade. And then every time it drops back down again, it's telling you, oh, you should have came out of the trade. What are you doing? Now you're going to have a loss. And it's this kind of circle of negativity that goes on in the head that really starts to make you do silly things. So now what I'm looking at is we've put in a little bit of a deeper test up towards 7,090. I really want to see how this candle closes. I'm hoping it's going to close quite bullish, sitting up above 7,089. If we can see that, then it does open up the possibility for a little bit of a spike up into 7,093. But there's always the risk there that it's going to come back down and take me out of the trade. So all I'm doing is telling myself, okay, the decision has been made. You know exactly what you're doing. As your head tells you to do something different, even if it is very, very convincing, it's just important that you just ignore it. It's as simple as that. So market is putting in a little bit of a doji candle at present. It is holding down below the swing points, but we are seeing some nice tests up into it. So let's see if we can see another press higher. Okay, so we're pressing up again. I wasn't doing any talking in the previous part of the video. Sometimes there's just nothing to say. What I will do is I'll just likely speed up the playback. So we've closed back down as a doji candle. Not overly bullish, not overly bearish. I would have liked to have seen a little bit stronger bullish price action. Let's see how we get on with this candle. If we are pressing up again, and we see further rejection as we come up to this level, I will likely just come out of this trade now. Okay, so we're now testing up at this level. We're at about 9.3 points. See if we can get a little bit higher. Okay. Okay, so I've now taken profits, £540 on the trade. So as the market was pushing up there, basically my mind was just telling me, come out of the trade. If it starts to move back down against you, you're not going to make as good profits. You're going to give it all back. It's maybe going to come back and take you out for a loss. And all I was looking for, was to come up and start testing at previous highs, which was very likely. We've still got the draw of the gap. We've still got the MA200 sitting up there after we broke up above this level. I knew it was fairly high probability we're going to come up to at least 7,094. Also testing out these buttons. At present, I've just had them sort of designed to make it a little bit easier where I can just close the position, I can close 50%, and I can get my stop to break even just by sort of clicking the mouse once on the buttons. Okay guys, so that is everything for this week. Yeah, good trade to start the week. We're at 8 minutes past 8. And realistically, I could just finish for the day now. I made £540. I think I'm going to continue sort of looking on and seeing if we get any other nice setups, because we're kind of in between some very nice zones at present. Okay, as always, I hope that was helpful. And hopefully it's allowed you to see that we're all the same. We're all an absolute jittering mess inside. It doesn't ever go away. Even when I'm sitting here and I look really calm, inside my head, it's still a riot. Yeah, I still feel exactly the same way as you if you're a beginner, but I'm just able to ignore it. And I have a plan that I follow. Okay, so I hope you're all having a great trading week. I'm James Orr, and thank you.